All right, College Algebra, here we are for your Monday, November 20th, 2023 video. On Yak Math Videos today, we are brought to you by Running and classroom favorite, Pita Tia, Outlive. All right, anyway, pick up both those fine books on the Amazon. Anyway, here we are. We're going to do a little bit of graphing here. All right, so this is what we call vertex form. All right, so this is vertex form right here. We're going to talk about it maybe later this year and definitely in trig next year where the vertex is h comma k. So vertex is in here, and that's the y coordinate of the vertex. So what you do, just like when we graphed absolute value equations, we're going to set this equal to 0. So the x coordinate of the vertex is 2, and the y coordinate of the vertex is 3. 2, 3. Now I have a negative 1/2 out here, okay, because that's a 2. I'm going to go 2 to the left, 2 to the right, another 2 to the left, another 2 to the right. I'm going to plug 4 in for x, plug 4 in for x, and I'm going to get 1. So if I get 1 here, I get 1 here. Here, if it's in vertex form, plugging in 0 does not automatically give you the y coordinate of the vertex. All right, then I'm going to plug 6 in for x. If I plug 6 in for x, I'm going to get negative 5. So if I plug 6 in for x, I'll get negative 5. Same thing if I plug negative 2 in for x. And folks, I'm going to graph those points, and it makes an igloo. This is a negative x squared. That is the vertex. It's a max. All right, so this is actually in vertex form. I don't need to do negative b over 2a. All right, let's take a look at this second one here. Okay, so the vertex is set x plus 1 equal to 0, negative 1, negative 4. Now I've got a 2 on the outside, so it's not 1/2. All right, so I'm going to go 1 to the left, 1 to the right, another to the left, another to the right. When I plug 0 in for x, I get negative 2 for y. Again, pause this whenever you need to. Now I've got 3 videos to make today, so it can't all be 40 minutes. So when I plug 0 in for x, I get negative 2. Same thing if I plug negative 2 in for x. Then I'm going to plug 1 in for x. If I plug 1 in for x, I'm going to get 4. So when I plug negative 3 in for x, I'm going to get 4. Plot these points. Makes a u, because it's a positive x squared. A negative x squared is going to make an igloo. Positive x squared makes the u. Awesome. So that was page 6. Again, just in case we didn't know. That was page 6. All right. So sorry about that. Can't go back and edit that, though. That was page 6. So now we're going to go to page 8. All right. Going to go to page 8 here, folks. So this is a very nice question here. All right. It's asking us a bunch. So first off, we can do all this before we graph. So notice this is a positive x squared. So a positive x squared makes a u, and a u has a minimum. So the vertex set this equal to 0. The vertex is 1, 2. The vertex is 1, 2. So the axis of symmetry is x equals the x coordinate of the vertex. X equals 1. This has a minimum. What's the minimum value? It's 2. It's that y value of the vertex. From the vertex comes a lot of info. Then we're going to graph. All right, so 1, 2 is the vertex. I go 1 to the left, 1 to the right. If I plug 2 in for x, I get 1 squared, which is 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. So when I plug 0 in for x, I get 3. Then I'm going to plug 3 in for x. 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 squared is 4. 4 plus 2 is 6. So when I plug negative 1 for x, I get 6. And I get the u. All right. I'm going to pause this. Let me get this down. Let's take a look at this next one here. Y. All right. Y equals, that is, x plus 3 squared minus 4. Set this equal to 0. X coordinate of the vertex is negative 3. Y coordinates are negative 4. So the vertex is negative 3, negative 4. The axis of symmetry is x equals negative 3. What is this? This is a positive x squared. Again, there's no negative on the outside, so it makes a u, and a u has a minimum. So it's a minimum. What is the minimum value? It is negative 4. Y equals negative 4. All right, so I go 1 to the left, 1 to the right. 1 to the right, 1 to the left, 2 to the right, 2 to the left of the vertex. Plug negative 2 in for x. 1 squared is 1. 1 minus 4 is a negative 3. You get a negative 3 there. Plug negative 3 in for x. Negative 1 in for x to get 2. 2 squared is 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. Makes a u. Okay. Vertex here is set this equal to 0, 2, 1. Vertex is 2, 1. Axis of symmetry is x equals 2. This is a negative. This is a negative x squared. So it makes an igloo, and an igloo has a max. What's the max value? It's the y-coordinate of the vertex. So the vertex is 2, 1. But because I have a negative 1/2 on the outside, I'm dividing by 2. I'm going to go 2 to the left, 2 to the right, another 2 to the left, another 2 to the right. Plug 4 in for x. 4 minus 2 is 2. Square it, you get 4. Multiply by a negative 1/2, it's a negative 2. Negative 2 plus 1 is a negative 1. Plug 6 in. 6 minus 2 is 4. 4 squared is 16. Multiply by a negative 1/2, that's negative 8. Negative 8 plus 1 is a negative 7. Igloo. We got an igloo. All right, so that, I believe, is, we got one more. We got one more graph here. So we're going to do this page. This is page 13. Page 13 is coming up. Now, I know on your page it says +3, but I accidentally, and that would have been fine, truthfully. We just wouldn't have been able to answer the x-intercepts. But just change it to a -3, and we've actually graphed this one before. So, oh well. So just change it to a -3. So the y-intercept is actually -3. It's when x is 0. What's the x-intercepts? Well, the x-intercepts are when y is 0. Remember, f of x is the same thing as y. So you're going to say 0 equals x squared minus 2x, now minus 3. Well, it multiplies to 3, differs by 2. 3 and 1. Middle term is negative. Bigger factor is negative. Cover-up method. X minus 3 is 0. X plus 1 is 0. So your x-intercepts are -1 and 3. Okay, so your vertex is always right in the middle. That's why it's, we'll see this later with the quadratic form. The vertex is always right in the middle. So if you have answers of -1 and 3, your vertex is going to be in the middle of -1 and 3, which is 1. Hint, hint, wink, wink. That's the x-coordinate of the vertex. So the axis of symmetry is between those two solutions. 1. All right, forgot to do part E there. Anyway, so how do I find the vertex? Here I have a middle term. It's not in vertex form. I got to do -b over 2a. b is a -2, so the opposite of -2 all over 2 times 1. That's what's attached to x squared. X squared on the vertex is 1, like we talked about. Plug 1 in for x. I get a -4. My vertex is 1, -4. My axis of symmetry then is x equals 1. All right, my vertex, 1, -4. 1 to the right, 1 to the left. Another to the right, another to the left. When I plug 0 in for x, I get a -3. So when I plug 2 in for x, I get a -3. Lastly, when I plug 3 in for y, I get 0. Makes that u. Lowest y value is a -4. So the range is y greater than or equal to -4. Question had us do, asked us a lot. That was a good question there. All right. What is the quadratic function in factored form? So here's what we got to do, folks. We got to look at our solutions. I have x equals -3 and I have x equals 1. That's from the graph. X equals -3 and x equals 1. So if I have the solution to get to the factor, I just go backwards. I move this over, so x plus 3 is a factor. I move this over, so x minus 1 is a factor, and that matches up with D. It's actually a very easy question. State the vertex and whether it opens up or down these parabolas. So these are all in vertex form, so I set this equal to 0. My vertex is 1, -5. This is a positive x squared, so it makes a u. And a u opens up, folks. It's going up. This is a negative x squared, so it makes an igloo. And an igloo opens down. And the vertex is a positive 3. Set this equal to 0. Or, I'm sorry, -3. X plus 3 equals 0. -8. Then here I have a negative x squared again. Negative on the outside. That makes an igloo. And an igloo opens down. It goes south. X plus 3 equals 0. I got -3, 12. Awesome. And then if I am correct, the last page we need to do, because we got a lot of pages you were supposed to handle, the last page that we are going to do here, and then we're going to save the SAT questions. Yes, I believe. We might look at 2 here. We're going to save the SAT questions for Tuesday. All right, so we're going to do Monday Here it is. So many real-world problems can be solved by factoring quadratics, especially in problems involving projectile motion or falling objects. Many questions involving these quadratics can be solved without extensive use of the calculator. Let's try a few today. Also, calculus will make these a little quicker. So here's the situation. Object is launched at 19 meters per second from a 58.8 meter platform. This formula here, not made up, folks. This is the initial velocity. Okay, this is the initial heights. And if I take the second derivative of this, I will get negative 9.8 meters per second squared, folks. That is gravity here on Earth. Okay, so that number is not made up, and we'll learn more about that in calculus. All connected, folks. So if I want to know when it hits the ground, you know, it's being shot up, hits the ground. That's when a height is 0. Okay, so I said 0 equal to this equation. When my height is 0. Not when time is 0, but when my height's 0. Okay, so I'm going to divide everything by negative 4.9, and this comes out to be a nice example for us here. Divide everything by negative 4.9. What multiplies to 12 differs by 4, 6, and 2. Cover-up method gives me the following 2 answers, but remember, this is a real-life question. There's no 2 seconds before launching it off here, folks. So it takes 6 seconds to hit the ground. What is the object's maximum height? And this is where calculus will give us this answer super quickly. The maximum height here, folks, is when the derivative is 0. So we would take the derivative and set it equal to 0 in less than 2 years. So for us, that's negative b over 2a. So the opposite of the middle term, all over 2 times that. And it's going to be 2 seconds. It takes 2 seconds to reach its maximum height. Remember, it's already starting at a big height here. 2 seconds up, 4 seconds down, because it's not starting at sea level, at the ground there. All right. Maybe not sea level. Let's just say at the ground. So I'm going to plug 2 in. I'm going to plug 2 in for t. Okay, so I think it's 78.4. 78.4. Anyway, this is meters. This is meters. Now, notice how this next one has changed from negative 4.9 to negative 16 because we're talking about feet. If I take the second derivative of this, it'd be negative 32. That's feet per second squared. All right, so if we're talking about feet, we use negative 16. That's initial velocity. That's initial height. When is it going to fall into the sea? All right, height of 0. I'm going to divide all by a negative 16. So the signs are going to change. The signs change. 1 multiplies 5 differs by 4. Negative 5, 1. Cover-up method, x equals 5. And, I'm sorry, t equals 5 and t equals negative 1. But we know it can only be a positive number of seconds. T equals 5 is our solution. What is the maximum heights? What's the maximum height? Again, we go back to the original. Negative b over 2a. Opposite of that, over 2 times this. 2 seconds again. All right, so I'm going to plug 2 in for t. And I'm going to get a maximum height of 144 feet. And in a few years, calculus will give us that answer quickly. Okay, so folks, I do think, well, we won't look at this. There's just one page. I just want to have us 2 down. We got a slightly shortened class periods now on Tuesday because we are running a special schedule for an assembly. All right, so this is page 62, and it's got a C at the bottom, Horsepower in watts are units of measure of power. They are directly proportional such that 5 horsepower is equal to that many watts. Let's just write that down. 5 HP is equal to 3730 watts. Divide by 5. 1 horsepower is equal to 746 watts. So how much power in watts is equal to 2 horsepower? Just simply double. Times 2 times 2. All right. The painting The Starry Night by Van Gogh is rectangular in shape with a height of 29 and a width of 36 1/4. If a reproduction was made where each dimension is a third the corresponding original dimension, what is the height of the reproduction in inches? You simply take 29 and divide it by 3. It's that easy. All right, 9 2/3 inches, or 29 over 3 they would accept. Anyway, folks, go team. There it is. Have this done. Everyone's game plan is going to be done on Tuesday. It's going to be due on Tuesday once we finish the remaining SAT questions. All right. Everyone's game plan. So let's make sure we have these. Let's make sure we do anything, especially if it's review that we need to. Everyone's game plan is going to be due on Tuesday. All right. This is Yak Math Videos signing out.